Up until now, we've been talking about making comparisons between different interventions in terms of showing that one intervention has better outcomes than the other. But sometimes we just want to show that two interventions produce about the same outcome. So we may have a new intervention that we think is as good as our usual care, but maybe it's less expensive or takes less time or is less painful, whatever it is, and we just want to show that this new intervention doesn't produce worse outcomes than our usual care. In that case, what we're talking about is proving non-inferiority. So in general, if you've got this new intervention and usual care and you're measuring two groups of clients, what you want to show is that the new intervention produces outcomes that are close enough to usual care to be considered not inferior. And that close enough is something called the non-inferiority margin. What we're going to do is say if the outcomes from the new treatment are within this range of the outcomes we get from usual care, then this new treatment is good enough to replace what we do with usual care. And to make these comparisons, we're going to use one-sided confidence intervals. Up until now in class, we've been talking about two-sided confidence intervals, typically the 95% confidence interval. If we have a population and we take a sample and measure some value, we may take the mean, the median, the proportion of something. That's our estimate of the true value in the population. The 95% confidence interval tells us that we're 95% sure the actual value for the population is within these two bounds, the upper and lower bound. We've talked about how you can calculate other confidence intervals, like the 90% confidence interval, which has narrower upper and lower bounds because we're only 90% sure the true value is within here. We can take a one-sided confidence interval as well. So here we're only looking at one boundary, say the lower bound. And we're not worried about where the upper bound falls. The 95% one-sided confidence interval is the same thing as the 90% two-sided confidence interval. So you may see a website that lets you calculate a one-sided confidence interval, but if it only does the two-sided confidence intervals and you want to get the 90% two-sided and you want to get a 95% one-sided confidence interval, just calculate the 90% two-sided confidence interval, and that gives you the same thing.